women in very powerful positions. It's not uncommon these days, of course, but what's also not uncommon is that powerful women often get a rap for being, well, you know, the B word. So how do we women learn from women like Hillary Clinton, Sandra Bullock, to be powerful without all the baggage? Today we're joined by Claire Duncan Brown and Audrey Nelson, authors of Code Switching, How to Talk So Men Will Listen. Welcome, ladies. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Let's start with Hillary Clinton. Obviously, she's been very successful, and she's been able to do that. She has been criticized along the way, though.
Yes.
And we women seem to be criticized even more often when we are assertive.
Yes.
True?
That's true.
So how do we do that without all of the criticism?
Well, I think one of the things about Hillary Clinton, and especially powerful women, is that they are acting outside of that quote-unquote girl box, the gender box. So their behaviors, even being assertive, are viewed as almost a male type of behavior that they're exhibiting. So when they're working outside of that girl box, they're showing more of a male leadership style. And you may not think being assertive is necessarily a male leadership style, but when a woman is assertive, then it gets viewed as almost aggressive behavior.
It is.
But she's actually doing the male leadership style. She's not being a wimp. She's speaking her mind.
Is that
she's
what
being
we should
direct.
be doing? Are you saying as women, when we want to be successful and powerful, we should step out of the girl box, or should we maintain that femininity?
Well, I think we need to be a blend. So what we know from about 2 decades of data is for women, and more than men, we need to be a blend of the male and the female. So, for example, men and women have different leadership styles. Men step up to the plate. They're bold. They're direct. They're task-oriented. They take people on. Women's leadership skills are a whole nother repertoire. We're more interpersonal. We're known as consensus builders. We're team-oriented. Lawrence Summers, if I can introduce another famous woman who's made it in the news, he, in the New York Times, did this great description of Elena Kagan, who basically everybody adores, from the faculty at Harvard to the Obama administration. And he said she has all these people skills, and of course he's known for not having them. And she can also step up to the plate. So for me, she's a real model of blending both those masculine and feminine skills. One of the things in code switching that we don't advocate is that women begin acting like men.
Right. Yeah.
So she needs to retain her femininity, but incorporate this androgynous, this gender flexing, and she can do it better than he can.
Okay, let's move on to the next subject that we're using as an example, and that is Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
She has been so graceful through this whole scandal of what's happened in her marriage.
Yes.
And she's done it and stayed very powerful.
Yes.
She's very powerful. She uses like dignity and grace to just communicate what her skills are and what her life is, actually. And I think also she has a great sense of humor, too, about the things that have happened to her, but even prior to all this commotion that's going on in her life, she had a wonderful presence and style in terms of her sense of humor and ability to communicate her jokes.
She does that very well.
And that's how she communicates her power, too, I think, through her humor.
Is that a technique that we as women can use to be powerful? Because sometimes you keep that grace and that dignity, and that's hard to be assertive and still be graceful.
Yes. One of the things I like about what she did is we didn't see any sobbing, hysterical, my life is over from Sandra Bullock. And it's interesting because when women use tears like Hillary Clinton did at one point, everybody went, uh-oh, jump back. She's not presidential material because she almost cried.
You know, that's a really good point. Maybe we should end on then, is we as women, we tend to be a little more emotional.
Yes.
So when you show that emotion, does that take away your power?
It does.
Well, it plays into the stereotype of femininity and masculinity. And we're not expecting the woman to show those emotions if she's the leader. So we're thinking of this socialized male concept of what is a leader, and we don't like it when we see that tear, you know, from...
I don't know. I tend to like it when I see a little tear in a man's eye, because then I know that he has a heart.
Sure. Well, see how it's interpreted differently,
yes,
though.
for a man. You're right. Great, some great subjects today. We appreciate you coming on and empowering us as women to be a little more assertive and powerful.
Good
to have you here today. We appreciate it. Okay, so what do